Alright, what's going on, guys? It's John Green here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to make $500 online every day using Shopify. Alright, now what I'm going to go over in this video is the exact strategy, the exact schema that I use to run all my Shopify stores, and I've run several multi-million-dollar Shopify stores at this point. And I've also helped many other people create their stores, and some of the people I've helped create are doing around $500 a day. Some of them have done up to $500,000 in sales in the past 4 months. So this strategy, what I'm going to go over here, it works. But before I get into this strategy, I want to talk a little bit about dropshipping and the dropshipping mindset in general. Now, this strategy right here that I'm going to go over has been proven, has been shown to be able to help people turn a profit. But too many people go into creating their Shopify stores without being willing to put in the work it's going to take to create something successful. Now, before I begin, let me go over dropshipping as a whole in general. So essentially how dropshipping works, I'm sure many of you know this at this point, but this video is going to be super beginner friendly, so I'm going to go over absolutely everything. So essentially how dropshipping works is you take products from a supplier website, upload them to your online store, and then advertise your online store and drive traffic to it. Then you make sales on your online store, and using the customer information provided to you by the purchasers on your store, you provide that to your supplier, and they ship out the products to your customer without you ever touching them. Now, these days, dropshipping is sort of being sold as this get-rich-quick scheme. People think that you just have to upload a couple products to your Shopify store, run a few Facebook ads, and then overnight you're going to be making sales, turning profit, and running a business. And essentially, unfortunately, that's not how it works. That's not how Shopify works, and that's not how the world works. If you want to run a successful Shopify store and you want to turn any sort of a profit, it's going to take an immense amount of dedication. It's going to take a lot of effort, and it's going to take a lot of failed attempts. Now, the strategy that I'm going to go over in this video will help you turn a successful, profitable Shopify store. But it might not happen on the first product you try. It probably won't. Probably won't happen on the second. Maybe not the third, the fourth, the fifth, but eventually if you keep up trying and you stay dedicated, eventually this strategy right here will help you find a successful product, and it will help you turn a profit on your store. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and get into things from the beginning. So the first step of the process is going to be picking your products, finding what you're selling, and that's incredibly important. So what you have to do is see what's actually selling. See what people are actually buying online. And to do that, you have to test a lot of products. At least 2 to 3 a day if you want to find a winner. Now, when I first got started, I was testing 5, 6, maybe 10 products a day. Just tons, everything I could find, every possible combination of products and audiences I was testing. And that helped me to quickly find a winner. But to find a winner, even eventually, you're going to have to test a lot of different losing products. Because for every 50 losers, there's one winner out there waiting, but you have to find it. So to do that, you have to test tons of different products and see what's actually selling. Now, see what's actually selling is a little bit difficult. To do that, you could sort of spy on your Shopify competition. You can look at different Shopify stores, and there's many ways to do that. I'm going to upload a video in the future about how to see the top selling Shopify stores online right now, and you can look through those and you can get some inspiration for that. But that's hard sometimes because that means that people are successfully dropshipping the products on those stores. So you might not want to compete with them because obviously they found success in it. There are also other things like Amazon bestsellers and certain different websites like Gadget Flow, and I'm going to go over all that in a future video. But you have to find out what's actually selling, and to do that you're going to have to do some research. So put in the legwork, look around, check out different websites, look at online trends, and see what people are actually buying right now in this moment. And part of that also, research other stores, not necessarily for their products, but research other stores to see what their store is set up like. Apologies for that. We'll just wait for that to go away. But you're going to have to see what their store looks like. Don't necessarily take exactly what they've done and copy it, but get some inspiration from things. See how they set up their timers. See how they set up their homepage. See how they set up their things. Because if you look at successful stores, obviously what they're doing is working. So research other stores, but don't overthink it too much. Research stores, get inspiration, but don't read too much into the things they're doing. Don't read into the little details of their store and think that's what your store is missing. Just get a general picture of what a good quality, simple store looks like that converts customers, take that inspiration and make it your own. And so the general process is going to be find something, price it, and then do it over again. So find a good product, price it, test it, and then do it over again. You just got to repeat that cycle. Don't get too invested in any of your products. Just find one, price it, do it again. Repeat that cycle over and over and over and over, and eventually what you pick will work out. But it's going to take time and it's going to take testing. Now, to move on to the pricing aspect a little bit, stop testing your products with low margins. Stop it. Stop trying to sell things and make $2 a piece. You will never be profitable that way, and let me tell you why. If you only make $2 profit on your product, you're only giving Facebook $2 to work with. You only have $2 to acquire your customers, and that's super hard to pull off. Even if it's something super enticing like a free plus shipping offer, which draws in traffic naturally, you're going to have an incredibly hard time converting people for super low margins. So stop testing your products with low margins because it will never work out. You will never be able to find success with low margins. Say, for example, you're selling a product with $5 profit. If you get 500 sales, you only make $2,500, and that's before ads cost. So 500 sales and all you make is $2,500. Now, depending on what your acquisition cost is, you could totally lose money on that offer, and honestly, you likely would, because it's exceptionally hard to get super quality Facebook traffic for really cheap. But say you were to sell your product with a $50 profit and you make 500 sales, that's $25,000. And that is a lot more for Facebook to work with than $2,500. Now, it is hard to find products that you can successfully price with $50 profit, but that's not the moral of the story. The moral of the story is the greater your profit margin is, the more likely you are able to convert the traffic you need for something that's profitable. So the greater margins you can work with, the more likely you'll be able to make successful ad campaigns, because you're just going to frankly have more room to work with. And what that means is when you're choosing your products to test things that are not super cheap. Test high value products that you can price with a reasonable margin. It's exceptionally hard to sell little trinkets and little gadgets for like less than $10 and to actually turn a profit on your Facebook ads. So think big picture, think highly valuable products that people will purchase for a significant price so that you can actually make a little bit of money and work with your Facebook ads a little bit more. Because the more you can give Facebook, the more Facebook can give you. All right, so moving on to the store in general. Make sure your store is clean and simple. Now, for most of my advertising, I like to use Instagram. And Instagram's a little bit of a different animal than Facebook, because all the traffic you get from Instagram is going to be mobile traffic. Now, a lot of the traffic you're going to get from Facebook is going to be mobile as well, but there's also some desktop thrown in there unless you sort of change your advertising settings. But regardless, your advertisements are going to be getting a lot of mobile traffic. Mobile traffic is just getting more and more popular as time goes on. And that means that your store has to be clean and simple. Sometimes you can get away with a cluttered, messy store on desktop. It's not going to be great and your conversions are going to suffer. But on mobile, a super cluttered and non-simplistic store is going to turn your customers away, because it's going to increase those load times and it's just going to be generally hard to move around. So make sure your store is very clean and simple. And that also means that when you're creating your store in the beginning, when you're creating your first store, you don't have to put a ridiculous amount of time into it. If you've chosen your first niche and you're creating your first store, don't put weeks, maybe even months into your Shopify store. Don't try to make it the perfect store, because at the end of the day, your niche might not work out for you, and then you'll have to start over. And if you spent weeks creating the perfect Shopify store for the wrong niche, you're going to have just wasted your time at the end of the day. So when you're creating your store, your first store, just keep it nice and simple. Keep it clean. Use quality images, but don't overdo anything. Next, put effort into your descriptions. I swear, the amount of times I've seen people's Shopify dropshipping stores with the standard AliExpress supplier description in them is ridiculous, and that'll never work out for you. Like, if you are simply copy pasting things from AliExpress and posting them on your Shopify store, you're never going to get a single sale, because why in the world would someone buy from you when you have the same description as AliExpress? AliExpress gets away with it because it's cheap. It's cheap and everyone knows it. But on your Shopify store, that's not what you have going for you. You're not going to be the cheapest man in town. So you have to put effort into your descriptions. Actually sit down and write it. Try to tell a story. Next, add some slight scarcity to your store. That means maybe a timer, maybe something like we've sold 10,000 of these and the stock is going to run out soon, something like that. But don't overdo it with the timers. Add a little bit of scarcity, but people can sense bullshit. People know when you're lying to them. If you have 5 different timers and, oh, someone from Nevada just purchased this sale ends in 25 minutes, 85% off, people are going to know you're lying to them, and they don't like that. You can get away with a little bit of white lie about, oh, the sale ends this, like in a day or two, whatever. A little bit of scarcity, but don't overdo it or people will know you're lying to them, and that's just going to ruin the rapport your store has. So add a little bit of scarcity, but definitely don't overdo it. Next, use an app. Pay for an app. Invest to get reviews from AliExpress or Amazon, depending on if your product is on Amazon or not. There's tons of review apps out there that use Chrome extensions to export reviews from AliExpress and Amazon and things like that, and then you can import them to your Shopify store. But definitely make sure your products have reviews, because that's just going to help build up that trust factor. Next, make sure PayPal is an option on your store. Now, one of the stores I'm running, I think about 60% of people choose PayPal as their option to check out. So if you don't have PayPal, you're going to be missing out on a lot of sales. PayPal is something a lot of people prefer just because the name entails trust anymore. Like, people know the name PayPal, and so they trust it. So if you have PayPal, your store is going to look a lot more trustworthy, and that's going to help you convert a lot more traffic. So make sure you have PayPal set up as an option, and you could even use Amazon payments. Now on Shopify, there's now the option that you can use Amazon payments, so people can pay through their Amazon accounts for the products on your store. And I've tested out including that on some of my stores, and it definitely increases conversion rate just a little bit, because things like PayPal and Amazon, those are trustworthy names, so if you could associate those with your store, you're going to seem a lot more genuine, and people are going to be a lot more willing to give you their money. Next, set up your cart abandonment emails. Get an app, maybe get like some sort of email marketing program, but set up abandoned cart emails. Now, don't go too hard on them. Keep it super simple until you find your winning product, but make sure you have them set up. Just something simple to remind them, maybe the day that they leave their cart, a couple days later, and maybe a week after. Just a few really simplistic emails, because at the end of the day, they don't cost you much at all. So any traffic that you can return, any sales that you can recover is just going to be more profit for you. So make sure you set up those cart abandonment emails, and it'll just serve you well in the future. All right, so moving on from the store, we're going to actually talk about running ads now. Now, running ads is where things get a little bit interesting, because this is where a lot of people fall off the boat. It's pretty easy to find quality products that you think will sell, and it's pretty easy to create a store that you think people will want to buy from. But when you start running ads is where things get interesting, because that's where you have to tie your product to your audience, and you have to actually entice people to visit your store. Now, once they're in your store, things are a little bit easier. You just got to guide them the right way, seem trustworthy, and they'll purchase from you. But getting them to your store, that's the hard part. So when it comes to running ads, you're going to have to test a lot of products. That's what we talked about earlier, and this is the schema that I use to test them. So start with website conversion ads on add to cart or purchase, depending on how many conversions your pixel has. Add to cart or purchase might be better for you, but a lot of my ads, even though my pixel is well seasoned, has tons and tons of purchases on it, I still run a lot of my advertisements on add to cart, and that's because if add to cart is getting you sales and it's profitable, why change it? It doesn't necessarily need to be changed at all. So test things out, see what works for you. But at the end of the day, I recommend to add to cart for the most part. There are some specific situations where you can tweak it and purchase might be better. Purchase might return you a little bit more profit, but for the most part, add to cart's going to be all right, and add to cart doesn't require nearly the amount of conversions that purchase requires to be successful. So run those ads, run them at around $5 to $10 per day. I like to do $10 per day because I can test them for a shorter period of time, but if you want to do $5 per day, you're just going to have to extend it out and let them run for a few more days. So if you're testing at $10 a day, you can let your ads run for 3 to 4 days, and you'll be able to see if they're successful or not. But if you're running at $5 a day, it might be more like 5 to 7 days. So when you're testing products, only do one ad and one interest group per product. Now, I know that might seem a little crazy, but don't be trying to test bunch of different audience with one single product at first. Just test one creative, one interest group, and one product. And then if it isn't successful, move on, put it on the side, and maybe eventually later you can come back and test with a different audience. But if you're trying to test one product with a bunch of different audiences, you're going to have a hard time because it's going to be hard to make your Shopify store correct for all those different groups of people. So that also goes along with the next point, which is don't get too technical when testing. Don't get too technical with your audiences. Don't get too technical with your conversions. Don't get too in-depth when you're testing. Simply test quickly, fast, find if it's a winner or not, and if it's not, get rid of it. If it's a winner, scale it, and then you can test. But when you're first testing an unproven product, don't waste your time getting technical. Don't waste your time testing a bunch of different audiences, a bunch of different creatives with a product that's doomed from the start. Don't waste your time because it's going to take you time to find a winner. And if you're dragging out the process of creating every one of your testing advertisements, you're going to have a really hard time getting through enough product testing to actually be able to find a successful product. So don't waste your time and don't get too technical. Also, along with that, don't bother with retargeting at this point. Now, that might be contradictory to some things that I've said before, but at this point I've realized don't bother with your retargeting when you're just testing, because sometimes your retargeting ad, maybe you'll just get lucky, and with your retargeting ad you'll get some purchases, and that might give you a little bit of hope, but don't bother with it at first, because your retargeting ad shouldn't be the main advertisement that's making you money. So if your testing ad isn't working but your retargeting testing ad is, that's not a good sign. That doesn't mean good things. And also, when you're just first testing a product, you won't have a ton of pixel data to work with to create your retargeting audience. So it'll be less effective to begin with. And if you're getting sales when you're first testing a product and you're using retargeting, you're probably getting lucky. And getting lucky is a really hard thing to do in this business, because when you get lucky, you think that you can expand it. You think that you've got it and you just have to scale it up. But it probably actually isn't a winner and you're just getting lucky. So along with that, don't get emotionally attached to shit. Don't get emotionally attached to the products you're running, to the products you're testing, to your store, to your niche, to your creative. Don't get attached to any of it. Because if you get attached, you're just going to waste your time and you're going to waste your money testing things that'll never work. So if it doesn't work, cut it. Get rid of it. Forget about it. Or maybe don't forget about it, but if you really think it's a good product and it didn't work out for you, just keep it on the back burner for a while, but don't waste your time trying to make a product convert that won't convert for you. So just don't get emotionally attached. Know that you're going to test a ton of products and most of them aren't going to work out. So even if you think you have the perfect product, if it doesn't turn out to be a winner, get rid of it. Get rid of it. And along that line, how do you know when you have a winner? You will know when you have a winner. If you're asking if your advertisement is a winner, it's not a winner. You will know. And that's because you'll be getting consistent sales. You'll be consistently profitable. It won't vary day to day. You won't have good days and bad days. Well, you might have good days and bad days, but it'll be relatively consistent. If you get 3 sales the first day and none for a week straight, that's not a winner. But if you get 2 sales a day consistently for 5 days, then don't get any sales the next day, and then you get 3 the day after that, that is a winner. So don't waste your time with advertisements that are flip-flopping and sometimes giving you sales, sometimes not, good days, bad days, but you're not profitable. Don't waste your time. When you have a winning product and a winning advertisement, you will know it. You won't have a doubt in your mind, and that's when you can scale, and that's when you can get a little bit more technical with things. But for the most part, don't get emotionally attached to your products, because you're gonna want to think that they're winners when they're not. But a true winner will show itself to you, and you won't even have to doubt it. So just know, going into it, if you question whether your product is a winner or not, it is not a winner. So moving on, if you do have a winner, congratulations, because it's a tough part to get there, but once you have that winner, that's when things become easy. Dropshipping really isn't a hard business, but it's hard to get to the point that it's easy, if that makes any sense at all. It's hard to get to the point of having a winner, but once you have a winner, there's not too much work you got to do. It's all sort of just testing and tweaking and improving your profitability. So if you have a winner, the first thing you should do, add upsells. Now, the thing is, even if you have a winning product, you may not be profitable yet. Now that might be a little hard to understand, but if you're getting consistent sales every day with your advertisement, but you're just barely not profitable, it could still be a winning product. And that's why you need to add upsells, because even if your upsells don't convert super well, any little bit of profit you get from an upsell is just that. It's purely profit. You don't have to pay anything to advertise to those people. They're already in your store, so you're just getting that little bit more money out of them. You're getting that little bit more profit. And honestly, a lot of the time, upsells are what turns campaigns profitable. A lot of the time, winning campaigns may not be successful just at first. Like Dollar Shave Club just sold for $1 billion, and they haven't turned a profit yet. Shopify, yet to turn a profit. So just because you're not yet turning a huge profit doesn't mean that your product is a failure, but it may mean that you need to push people through your back end a little bit to extract the profit you need to turn your campaigns profitable. And the best way to do that is upsells. So get an upsell app. If possible, get a post-purchase one-click upsell app. Now, there's a lot of free apps on the Shopify App Store that'll give upsells before the customer checks out and they're able to add it to their cart, but sometimes those can turn people away and they can reduce your conversion. So if you can get an upsell app that doesn't let the upsells happen until after they've already bought the initial product, then you're going to be much better off, because at that point they can't get out of the initial purchase. You can't deter them from the initial purchase, but you can try and get them to buy more. So it's a little bit less risky because you're not going to be sacrificing your initial conversion rate to try and hope to make up for it with upsell purchases. But you can keep your initial conversion rate the same, and you can just try and get them to purchase your upsells after they've already made their initial purchase. So once you've done that, and once you have upsells set up, you can tweak your abandonment emails. So once you're actually getting sales and you're getting data and you're getting customers, you can see what's working with your abandonment emails. You can see what the clicking rate is, what the open rate is, and you can tweak the creative, you can tweak the wording just a little bit and see what will increase your conversions, because those abandonment emails, just like the upsells, are sometimes what your campaign needs to turn to profitability. Those abandonment emails are essentially free for the most part. You do have to buy an app to do them usually, but the amount of emails you can send out, the cost per email becomes relatively inconsequential. So tweak your abandonment emails and do your best to convert those few purchases that get away, because those will also help to create campaign profitability. So once you've done that, and if your campaign is actually starting to be profitable and you're starting to turn a little bit of profit, you can start to duplicate your ads and tweak the copy at this point. Now, don't do this during the testing process, because if your product is not a winner, it's a waste of time to try and tweak your ad copy and your images to make something work that'll never work. But once you have a winner, start to duplicate your ads. Start to tweak the copy and start to tweak the images and see if anything gets you a better conversion rate. See if anything gets you a better conversion rate, because that can also help to make your campaign profitable. So tweak the copy, tweak the images a little bit, but not until you know that the product is a winner. At that point, you can truly test what pieces of the creative will help get you purchases. And after that, you're going to want to set up retargeting. You're going to want to set up retargeting ads in your Facebook Ads Manager, and that can also help to recover sales. So typically when you've got a big audience, when you're making purchases, when you're getting conversions in your pixel, your retargeting ads are probably going to do very well. Typically, you can get some really cheap impressions with retargeting ads, and since it's already warm traffic, your conversion rate for those ads will be much, much better. So once you're consistently getting sales with your winning product, then you can set up retargeting and try to recover as many sales as possible. That's the point of the abandoned emails too. You're going to try and recover those sales that you've lost, because that can help to make your campaign profitable. So if your campaign is profitable, if you've added upsells, you tweaked your abandonment emails, you tweaked your ad copy, and you set up retargeting to the point that your campaign is now turning a profit, then you can start to scale. Now, I scale my ads a little bit differently than most people. When I scale my ads, I simply duplicate it, maybe double, maybe triple the budget, and let that ad run for a little bit before I turn off the original. Now, a lot of people won't agree with that, because they say, oh, if you have a profitable ad, why would you turn it off? Why would you get rid of it? But if you have a true winning product, it's not going to be that one specific ad that'll be successful for you. If your product is a true winner, you can duplicate all the ads you want for that product and they'll all be successful, because people want to buy that product. If you can only get the one original campaign that you made to be profitable, then your product is not necessarily a winner at all. The key to knowing you have a winner on Facebook is when you can increase your budget and your profit doesn't decrease. When you can increase your budget and your conversions stay at about the same price. So you can scale more traditionally by keeping one original ad set and increasing the budget by something like 20 to 30% every few days. But I like to scale, and I like to scale quickly. And to do that, I just duplicate my ads, duplicate whatever ad is working, increase the budget, and let them both run. And for you personally, you may have to test out both, scaling processes and see which one works better for you. But I've found that if you want to take a product that's making you maybe a few $100s of profit a day and turn it into something that'll make you thousands a day, it's going to take a long time if you're increasing by 20 to 30% every few days. But if you duplicate your ads and you just increase the budget by several times, you're going to be able to scale much, much, much faster. And that's what I found. That's what's been able to give me so much success so quickly, is scaling my ads quickly once I know they're a winner. But only scale quickly when you know that they're a winner, because if you're scaling super quickly with a product that is not a winner, you're going to lose a lot of money really quickly. And so it's a dangerous game of knowing that you have a winner and being certain that the profitability of your product is there. Now, once you're scaling that original audience, that original creative, you can then start to test new audiences. So take your winning product and pitch it to new audiences and see what works, but never get rid of the original campaign. So if you can run your profitable product to simultaneous audiences, then you'll be golden, because you can scale each one individually, see if both of them are winners, if one of them's a winner, if every audience you tested is a winner. But once you know that people want to buy your product, it's much easier to pitch it to new audiences and to see if that audience is actually receptive to the product or not. But sometimes when you're running without a winner and you're trying to pitch it to different audiences, it's hard to tell if the product is a loser or if the audience is a loser. But if you know the product is a winner, then you can easily tell if the audiences are losers, winners, whatever. So that's about all I have for this video, and I'm going to cut it short before it gets too long. But just to wrap things up, essentially, how to turn a profit on your Shopify store is to be ruthless and fast with your testing. Don't sit and dick around for too long with products that'll never work out for you. Cut them. If they don't work, cut them, move on. That's the best piece of advice I can give in this video, is don't get too emotionally attached to any piece of your Shopify store, to any of the products, to any of the branding, to your niche, to any of that. Be ready to move on and be ready to change, because the only way you can find successful products and to find successful things to sell is to test a ton of them. And to do that, you have to be emotionally ruthless. So be ruthless and you will know when you have a winner. All right, and I believe that's going to be all. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.